tell me.
No, you're not.
Okay, good Chodesh Shalom. Holding in ready, Chodesh Shalom already started, and we're holding in Parsha Shoftim. And Parsha Shoftim has many mitzvahs. One interesting thing about Parsha Shoftim is there is no Likutei Torah on Parsha Shoftim. Every single Parsha of the year, there's a mimer that was printed in Torah, Likutei Torah. Parsha Shoftim has no Likutei Torah.
Or Torah.
Or Torah, yeah. Torah is Bereshis and Shmois.
So how do we learn?
So how do you learn? So Chassidim used to say the reason why there's no Likutei Torah in Parsha Shoftim is because it's the beginning of Elul. Elul is Avodah B'Koach Atzmai. You're supposed to do it yourself. But the Rabbi once said, interesting sikha, the Rabbi said that what the whole idea of a judge is to create boundaries. The whole idea of a justice system is to create do's and don'ts and, this person is right, that person is wrong.
Shabbos Shoftim should have been last week then.
But the word of Shabbos last week was Shabbos Mevarchen. Now we're actually in Elul. But the word
that's why it should have been last week, so we had time for Tehillim, man.
So the word of Elul is Hamelech Basada. The word of Elul, the king is in the field. The king is in the field, there's no boundaries. Usually the whole year there's a hierarchy, right? There's the people, ministers, the top, and then there's the king. If the king is in the field, everyone has equal access, so all boundaries are down. So it's Moisef and Dinin of Avos Yisrael. So that's one interesting nekuda regarding Parsha Shoftim. The Rabbi spoke a lot in the early years about the mitzvah of Ir Miklat. The Parsha speaks about the mitzvah of having a city of refuge.
Shoftim?
Yeah, Shoftim speaks about. That's also the raya of the coming of Mashiach, the extra 3 cities of refuge. No, it's this week. Today's Chitas. Today's Chumash. So the mitzvah of Ir Miklat, the Rabbi said the same way there's an Ir Miklat in space, there was a city of refuge. There's also an Ir Miklat in time. Throughout the year, a person does different things. Premeditated, not premeditated. And then there's the judgment. The judgment is Rosh Hashanah. Before the judgment, the Eibusha gives opportunity for everyone to be protected from any negative things. A person is able to make amends. A person is able to transcend his wrongdoings. Or Ir doesn't have to be for wrongdoing. A person didn't do his avodah the utmost level. So he has an Ir Miklat. What's an Ir Miklat? Ir Miklat means... Ir Miklat was an interesting thing. A person had to go to another city, designated city. He didn't have to do anything different in that city. He was able to keep his job. He was able to work remotely. He was able to, whatever. It's just he couldn't leave the city that he was. If he died, the city was buried there. That had to be his place. So the Rabbi says the same thing is, the month of Elul doesn't mean a person has to afflict himself. So this doesn't focus on the avodah of Taniyas. The avodah of Elul means a person leaves his comfort zone and he completely connects himself to that place. Whatever a person's habits or whatever certain things that a person does during the year, the month of Elul, if he leaves that, he puts aside his time, he uses that his time wisely to learn, to daven, to help people, whatever it is, he's exiling himself, he's leaving his comfort zone in a permanent way. That is how he gets protected in the month of Elul. So that is a connection between the month of Elul and the Ir Miklat in Parsha Shoftim. There's another very, very famous pasuk in this week's Parsha, Tamim Tiyam Hashem Lekech. A person should be wholesome with the Eibusha, which this pasuk has many meanings. But it's, I think, in a certain sense, if I would take the liberty, it's connected with the idea of what's the chiddush of the month of Elul. Elul is Anila Deidi V'Deidi Li. Throughout the year, a person's, hopefully every Jew, Kol Yisrael B'Cheskas Kashrus, as the Rabbi used to say many times, every Jew is doing what he needs to do. He's learning Torah, he's davening. What's the unique accomplishment of Chodesh Elul? Chodesh Elul is when a Jew is connected wholeheartedly with Eibusha. Throughout the year, he's focusing on the do's and the don'ts. On the month of Elul, Anila Deidi V'Deidi Li. It's a relationship where he becomes completely one with the Eibusha. That's the idea of Anila Deidi. There's many things in life. A lot of people focus on the do's and the don'ts. The problem is that usually at some point, a person gets bored, a person gets sick, a person he feels too restricted, a person can't go beyond a certain point. In order for a person to be completely united with Eibusha, that everything he does should be taka right, he has to have emotionally, intellectually, complete harmony with Eibusha. A person can't go out of his comfort zone, a person can't be pushed. And the first rule in education, particularly nowadays, is that you can't change someone out of fear, out of panic. You could force him to do something, you could force a kid to listen to you because he's afraid of getting a reprimand. But you're not going to change him for life. If you want to change him for life, you have to change him internally. In order to change someone internally, it has to be done out of love, out of kiruv. So if a person wants to change, a person wants to go beyond his current level of Torah mitzvahs, if a person does it because he's mizboinen, he awakens some sense of fear or forbidding, whatever it is, so it will last for some degree. He will win the war. What do they say? He'll win the war, but he won't win the battle. He'll win the battle, he won't win the war. He'll have an effect, but it won't be permanent. In order that it should be permanent, a person has to be wholeheartedly connected with the Eibishter. It has to come from within the person. He feels one. That person has to develop a personal relationship with the Eibishter. That's the idea of Arila Daidili. When the king is in the palace, you know about the king. If you see the policeman, you're going to get, if you park in the wrong place, a policeman will approach you. But you don't have your own relationship with the king. So you'll do what you need to do, but the month of Elul, you have your own relationship with the king. And it's a relationship out of kiruv, that the king shows his love to you. So that gives you the kerech for the whole year that you should do what you need to do. So the Tam and Tim Hashem L'kecha could also mean you should be completely one, wholesome with the Eibishter. Everything you do, Tam and Tim, every single action that you do should be permeated with your connection to the Eibishter. In order for that to happen, it has to. You can only do that because of Anilu Doidiv. You can only do that if you meditate on your connection with the Eibishter, which transcends your actions. There's something internal there that motivates you. So if a person wants to be complete in his avodas Hashem, wants to be tamim tiyah, it has to be through anilu doidi. That's one that there's many other mitzvahs in Shoftim, but finish off the parsha of Shoftim speaks about authority. I mentioned before, we don't have to put
the judges or the police.
Everything. You have judges, you have police, you have the mitzvah of a navi, you have the mitzvah of a melech. All types of authority that the Jewish people had were in parsha Shoftim. Right? The Rebbe has all Sikha, Tavshin and Aleph, that there's judges, there's advisors, there's authorities that are superimposed on the person, those people that help you on self-help, so to say, that they deal with you on your own level. But the whole Pasha speaks about authority. And the Rebbe spoke in Tavshin and Aleph, the Rebbe said that it's important in life, in order to be successful, you need to have both things. On one hand, you need to appreciate authority. If a person just has, if you have a whole company, like if you have a whole country full of therapists and full of groups, that help a person with this and with that, you're not going to have a successful civilization. You need, yes, it's very important to have therapists, very important to have people that help you internalize things. But it's very basic. A person needs authority. The authority doesn't have to put the person in prison. The person has to realize that there's somebody that is responsible to us. That's what we spoke about, a moment of silence, the eye that sees, the ear that hears. Together with that, a person can't live his whole life just so there's authority, because if that's the case, he's going to try to evade the authority, right? He'll try to be a chachamatik. So at the same time, you have to try to make it part of you. So you have to have both. You have to have Shiftayich and Yayitzayich, and we have to realize that every person should, whoever it is, a teacher, somebody that he looks up to. The person also has to have a friend, not someone that is higher than him, and somebody that works with him. They should help. We should have Ksiva Chasim Teva, good Geben, Shter L'chaim V'Levracha.